The manila envelope sat on my kitchen counter like a bomb waiting to detonate. No return address, just my name in precise block letters. I traced my finger along the edge, hesitating. Something about its weight, its innocence, made my stomach clench. My name is Vivian, and until 10 minutes ago, I thought I knew what my life was. The photos spilled across the granite countertop, glossy and damning. Ryan's familiar profile, his arm wrapped around a woman I didn't recognize. Their heads bent close, intimate. More pictures followed, restaurant meetings, quick embraces in parking lots, furtive touches that spoke volumes. I heard Dylan's video game music drifting down from upstairs, the cheerful melody a stark contrast to the acid rising in my throat. My hands wouldn't stop shaking as I arranged the photos in chronological order. 2 months' worth of surveillance, each date stamped in the corner like tiny accusations. The front door clicked open. "Honey, I'm home." Ryan's voice carried that same warmth it always had, that teacher-perfect tone that made parents trust him with their teenagers. "Something smells amazing." I didn't answer, just kept staring at the evidence of his betrayal spread before me. His footsteps grew closer. "Viv? Did you hear me? I was thinking we could." His words died as he entered the kitchen. The silence stretched between us like a rubber band about to snap. "Who is she?" My voice came out steadier than I expected. "What are you talking about?" But I heard the slight tremor, saw his hand tighten on his briefcase strap. 20 years of marriage had taught me his tells. I picked up one photo, them leaving a hotel together, and held it up without looking at him. "Don't insult me by lying. It's not what you think." He set his briefcase down carefully, like he was buying time. "Those pictures. They're completely out of context. Sarah's just a colleague." Sarah. The name tasted bitter. "And does this colleague usually kiss her coworkers goodbye?" "You're being ridiculous. Someone's clearly trying to cause trouble." "Dad?" Dylan's voice from the stairs made us both freeze. "Can you help me with my science project?" Ryan cleared his throat. "Sure, buddy. Be right there." He shot me a warning look. "We'll discuss this later." I gathered the photos with trembling fingers, sliding them back into their envelope. "Yes," I whispered as he turned away. "We certainly will." The sound of his footsteps on the stairs felt like a countdown. To what, I wasn't sure yet. But as I tucked the envelope into my desk drawer, I knew with absolute certainty that nothing would ever be the same. The bank statement trembled in my hands. Third notice. Final warning. My eyes kept catching on the numbers, each one a fresh betrayal. $2,000 withdrawn last Tuesday. $3,000 the week before. Our savings account stripped bare, like a tree in winter. Mother wants us over for dinner tonight. Ryan lounged in the doorway, adjusting his tie. She's making pot roast. I slipped the statement under a stack of mail. I can't. I have that job interview at 4. His face darkened. Again with this? We agreed you'd stay home with Dylan. No, you agreed. I never did. The words came out sharper than intended. Dylan's footsteps overhead made me lower my voice. We need the money, Ryan. He laughed, but there was no humor in it. We're fine. I handle the finances, remember? Like you handled the second mortgage? The question hung between us like smoke. His expression shifted, surprise, then anger. You've been going through my papers. Someone had to. I stood up, squaring my shoulders. Where's the money going, Ryan? And don't tell me it's all school supplies. The doorbell rang before he could answer. Margaret's voice carried through the front door, syrupy sweet. Hello? Anyone home? Ryan's face smoothed into its public mask. Coming, Mother. He pointed at me. We'll discuss this later. Margaret swept in, all perfume and pearls, Dylan trailing behind her with a new video game clutched to his chest. I hope you don't mind, I picked him up from school early. We had such a lovely afternoon shopping. You what? I stared at my son, who wouldn't meet my eyes. Dylan has math tutoring on Thursdays. Oh, one missed session won't hurt. Margaret waved her hand dismissively. Family time is more important. Speaking of which, Ryan tells me you're looking for work. The concern in her voice was perfectly calibrated to sound genuine. I caught Ryan's warning glance. Just exploring options, I said carefully. Well, I certainly hope you're not letting outside influences affect your priorities. Her eyes flicked to the stack of mail on my desk. A mother's place is with her children, after all. I watched Dylan slip upstairs with his new game, another bribe in plastic packaging. The familiar rage built in my chest, but I forced a smile. You're absolutely right, Margaret. Family comes first. She beamed, missing the edge in my voice. But Ryan didn't. He knew me too well. Later, after they'd gone to pick up dinner, I found Dylan's school notebook open on the kitchen counter. Scrawled in his careful handwriting, Dad yelling again. Mom crying in bathroom. Grandma says it's Mom's fault. My hands clenched on the counter. They thought they had all the power, Ryan with his secrets, Margaret with her manipulation. But they'd forgotten one thing. A mother protecting her child is capable of anything. Grace slid Margaret's bank statements across her kitchen table. You need to see this, Viv. The transfer started 3 months ago. My coffee grew cold as I traced the pattern, thousands moving from Margaret's retirement account into a shell company I'd never heard of. The same days Ryan made his mysterious withdrawals from our account. He's stealing from his own mother. The words tasted like metal in my mouth. Not just Ryan. Grace tapped another document. Look who's listed as the company director. Lucas. Ryan's golden boy brother. The pieces clicked together like a toxic puzzle, the secret meetings, the hushed phone calls, Ryan's increasingly erratic behavior. Mother dearest has no idea, does she? Grace shook her head. She still thinks Ryan hung the moon. The doorbell interrupted us. Through Grace's window, I spotted Margaret's Mercedes in the driveway. My heart stopped. Hide these, I hissed, shoving the papers at Grace. She barely had time to stuff them in a drawer before Margaret swept in. Vivian. What a surprise. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. I've been trying to reach you all morning. Just catching up with Grace. I forced myself to stay seated, to keep my voice steady. Yes, well. Margaret's gaze swept the kitchen, lingering on our coffee cups. Ryan's worried about you, dear. These outside activities. The job hunting. It's not healthy for Dylan. Dylan's fine. My fingers curled around my cup. In fact, he's thriving in his math program. The one you pulled him from last week. About that. Margaret perched on a chair, uninvited. Ryan and I have been talking. We think it might be best if Dylan spent more time with me after school. Given your unstable behavior lately. The cup cracked in my grip. Hot coffee spilled across my hands, but I barely felt it. Unstable? My voice came out whisper quiet. Is that what Ryan calls it when someone questions where all the money's going? Margaret's face whitened. I don't know what you're implying. Don't you? I stood up slowly. Maybe we should discuss the Oakwood Investment Group. Or should I ask Lucas about that? She recoiled like I'd slapped her. How dare you? No. I leaned forward, letting years of rage fuel my words. How dare you threaten my relationship with my son while your precious boys rob you blind? Margaret fled, leaving her designer purse behind. Inside, I found what I was looking for, her phone, still logged into her banking app. You shouldn't have done that, Grace whispered. No, I agreed, taking screenshots of every transaction. But they shouldn't have underestimated me either. The hospital corridors reeked of disinfectant and lies. Margaret's minor fall had cracked 3 ribs and revealed a heart condition she'd been hiding. Now she lay surrounded by beeping machines while Ryan and Lucas huddled in the corner, whispering like conspirators. I stood at the window, watching their reflection. Lucas kept checking his phone, his face drawn with something beyond concern for his mother. The doctors want full-time care when she's released, Ryan announced, turning to me. She'll need to stay with us. The trap snapped shut. Of course. The perfect solution to keep me busy, controlled, distracted from their financial games. No. The word fell like a stone between us. What do you mean, no? Ryan's teacher voice, the one that made students squirm. She's family. Family doesn't steal from family. I met his eyes in the glass. Or did you think I wouldn't find out about Oakwood Investments? Lucas's phone clattered to the floor. Ryan went very still. You've been confused lately, Vivian. His tone shifted, gentle now. Concerned. Making accusations, acting erratically. Maybe you should see someone. Stop. My hands gripped the windowsill. You don't get to rewrite reality anymore. Mom? Dylan's voice from the doorway made us all turn. He stood clutching his backpack, Grace behind him with an apologetic look. Sorry, she said. School called about the stomach ache. I picked him up. Ryan moved toward Dylan, but our son stepped back, pressing against Grace's legs. The rejection was subtle but clear. Ryan's face darkened. Son, come here. We need to talk about Grandma staying with us. No. Dylan's voice was small but firm. I heard you last night. You said Mom was crazy. She's not crazy. The silence that followed was deafening. Margaret stirred in her bed, monitors beeping faster. Dylan, honey, I kept my voice steady, wait outside with Aunt Grace. Once they were gone, I turned to face my husband. File for divorce, or I take everything I know to the police. Your choice. You destroy this family? Ryan's mask slipped, showing the desperation beneath. Over a few misunderstandings? Lucas finally spoke up. Ryan, maybe we should. Shut up. Ryan's fist slammed into the wall. A nurse appeared in the doorway, clipboard raised like a shield. Is everything all right? I smiled, gathering my purse. Just fine. My husband was leaving. I paused at the door. Oh, and Ryan? Dylan stays with me. Non-negotiable. His response followed me down the hall. You'll regret this, Vivian. I promise you that. But he was wrong. The only thing I regretted was not seeing the truth sooner. The night shift at the diner left grease in my hair and coffee stains on my uniform, but the tips would cover Dylan's new school supplies. 3 jobs in 2 weeks, not bad for someone Ryan claimed couldn't handle responsibility. I found Lucas waiting in my driveway at midnight, pacing like a caged animal. Ryan knows. He grabbed my arm as I passed. About the evidence you've been gathering. Someone at the bank tipped him off. I yanked free, heart pounding. Where's Dylan? Still at Ryan's. Listen, Vivian, you don't understand what's really going on. Let me guess. You need money to fix this? The pieces clicked together, Lucas's desperation, Ryan's sudden interest in my work schedule. That's why you're here, isn't it? To warn me off? His silence was answer enough. Inside, my phone showed 3 missed calls from Grace. Her voicemail crackled with static. Ryan just left here with Dylan. He was asking about your new job, about the photos you took of Margaret's accounts. Viv, he seemed different. Dangerous. My hands shook as I dialed Ryan's number. Straight to voicemail. The house felt wrong, drawers pulled open, papers scattered. My laptop was gone. But worse, the manila envelope containing the original photos of Ryan's affair was missing from its hiding place. Lucas hovered in the doorway. He's going to destroy everything you have on us. The photos, the bank records. Where's my son? My voice didn't sound like my own. Safe. For now. He pulled out his phone, showing me a photo of Dylan asleep in Margaret's guest room. Ryan says if you drop everything, the divorce, the threats about the money, things can go back to normal. I laughed, a harsh sound that surprised us both. Normal? You mean where I pretend not to notice while you and Ryan steal from your mother? Where Dylan learns that lying and manipulation are family values? You're not thinking clearly. No, Lucas. For the first time in years, I'm seeing perfectly clearly. I grabbed my keys. Tell Ryan he has 1 hour to bring Dylan home, or every scrap of evidence I have goes to the police. And trust me, I kept copies where none of you will find them. He'll fight you for custody. Margaret will testify that you're unstable. Let them try. I pulled out my phone, showing him the video Dylan had secretly recorded of Ryan's last outburst. My son's smarter than all of you combined. Lucas's face crumpled. You've thought of everything, haven't you? No. I opened the door, letting in the cold night air. I just finally learned to play your game. The Thanksgiving turkey sat untouched as I slid the divorce papers across Margaret's antique dining table. Ryan's face turned ashen, then purple. Dylan gripped his fork so hard his knuckles went white. You ungrateful bitch. Ryan's whisper cut through the silence. After everything we've done for you. Everything you've done? I pulled out my phone, scrolling through the evidence. Like emptying our savings? Or stealing from your mother? Margaret's wine glass shattered on the floor. Ryan? What is she talking about? She's lying, Mother. But his eyes darted to Lucas, who suddenly seemed fascinated by his plate. She's been unstable lately. Play the video, Dylan. My voice shook, but my hands were steady. Dylan pulled out his tablet, fingers trembling. Ryan's recorded voice filled the room. If you tell your mother about the money, I'll make sure you never see her again. You understand me, son? The silence that followed was deafening. You recorded me? Ryan lunged for the tablet. Dylan flinched, but Grace stepped between them. Touch him and I call the police. She had her phone ready, emergency number already dialed. Ryan's laugh was ugly. You think you can prove anything? Who do you think they'll believe, a respected teacher or some waitress working 3 dead-end jobs? I believe her. Dylan's small voice cut through Ryan's tirade. I have more videos, Dad. Lots more. The color drained from Ryan's face. Margaret stood shakily, her hospital bracelet still visible under her sleeve. Ryan Thompson, explain yourself this instant. But Ryan was already moving, grabbing his keys. Lucas, handle this. I need air. Running away again? I called after him. Like you ran from Sarah when she got pregnant? He froze in the doorway. Margaret gasped. Oh yes, I found her too. She was quite helpful, actually. Especially about the money you promised for her silence. The next moments blurred, Ryan's hands around my throat, Dylan screaming, Grace calling 911. When the chaos cleared, Ryan was gone, taking my phone with its evidence. But he'd forgotten one thing. I pulled the USB drive from my necklace, the one Grace had insisted I wear. Never keep all your evidence in one place, she'd said. Margaret sank into her chair, aging years in minutes. How long have you known? Long enough. I gathered Dylan close, feeling him tremble. The question is, what are you going to do about it? Lucas cleared his throat. Vivian, maybe we can make a deal. No more deals. I stood, divorce papers in one hand, my son's hand in the other. It's time for the truth. All of it. The police sirens wailed in the distance, getting closer. The police station's fluorescent lights cast harsh shadows as Lucas paced the interview room. Ryan sat stone-faced beside his lawyer, while Margaret clutched her designer handbag like a shield. "Tell them the truth," I said quietly. "Or I will." Lucas's laugh held an edge of hysteria. "Which truth, Vivian? The one where your precious evidence disappeared with Ryan's phone? The one about Oakwood Investments?" I placed a manila envelope on the table. "About how you convinced Ryan to help you steal from your own mother." Margaret's hand flew to her throat. "Lucas?" "It was a loan," Ryan cut in. "We were going to pay it back." "After what?" I pushed the bank statements across the table. "After you finished draining her accounts? After you forced her to sell her house?" The detective studying the documents cleared his throat. "Mr. Thompson, these transactions show a clear pattern of..." "I trusted you." Margaret's voice cracked. "Both of you. My own sons." Lucas crumpled into a chair. "Ryan said we could fix everything. The gambling debts, Sarah's baby." "Shut up." Ryan lunged across the table, but the officer caught him. "Sarah's what?" Margaret's whisper could have cut glass. The door opened. Grace entered with Dylan, who clutched his tablet like armor. "Show them," I nodded to our son. Dylan's small fingers trembled as he pulled up the video. Ryan's voice filled the room. "Lucas lost everything. If mother finds out about the baby, about the money, we'll handle it, brother. Whatever it takes." "I recorded everything," Dylan said. "Every time Dad and Uncle Lucas talked about the money. About Sarah's baby. About making Mom look crazy so no one would believe her." Ryan's facade finally cracked. "You little..." "Choose your next words carefully," Grace interrupted, her hand protective on Dylan's shoulder. "The camera's still rolling." The detective closed his notebook. "I think we have enough for charges. Financial fraud, conspiracy, harassment." "Wait." Margaret stood, her aristocratic posture crumbling. "Vivian, please. They're still my sons." I met her eyes, seeing for the first time not the manipulative mother-in-law, but a woman betrayed by those she trusted most. "The choice is yours, Margaret. But Dylan and I are done protecting their lies." Ryan's lawyer whispered urgently in his ear. Lucas began to sob. "I want to go home, Mom," Dylan said quietly. I gathered my son close, feeling the weight of the USB drive still hanging from my neck, the one containing copies of everything. Including Sarah's sworn statement about the baby Ryan had paid her to hide. "Yes," I said. "Let's go home." Behind us, Margaret's voice rose with newfound steel. "Detective, I'd like to press charges. Sometimes revenge isn't about destroying your enemies. Sometimes it's about letting them destroy themselves." The last box from Ryan's study landed with a satisfying thud in the donation pile. Dylan's footsteps echoed through the half-empty house as he raced down the stairs, waving a dusty photo album. "Mom, look what I found." He flipped it open to our wedding day. Ryan's smile, once charming, now seemed hollow. "Can we keep this one?" I touched the photograph's edge. "Of course. That's still your history, sweetheart." The doorbell rang. Margaret stood on the porch, looking smaller without her usual armor of perfectionism. "The sentencing is tomorrow." "I know." I gestured her inside. She perched on the edge of the couch, watching Dylan arrange his treasured findings. "Sarah had the baby last week," she said quietly. "A girl. She's letting me be part of her life, at least." Dylan's head snapped up. "Does that mean I have a sister?" "Half-sister," Margaret corrected, then softened. "But yes, if you'd like to meet her someday." The silence stretched, filled with possibilities and complications we'd sort out later. Grace appeared in the doorway with paint swatches. "The movers are coming Monday," she announced. "You sure about this?" I nodded. The house had sold quickly, another clean break. The apartment near Dylan's new school waited, its blank walls ready for our fresh start. Vivian. Margaret's voice cracked. I never thanked you for stopping them before they took everything. You did that yourself, when you pressed charges. She twisted her wedding ring, the real one, not the replica Ryan had sold. I keep wondering if I enabled them. If my need to control everything made them. They made their choices. I handed Dylan another album to pack. We all did. The afternoon light caught the empty spaces on the walls where Ryan's teaching awards once hung. Soon they'd be filled with Dylan's art, with photographs of our new life. Mom? Dylan held up a final picture, Ryan teaching him to ride a bike. Where should this go? I studied my son's face, seeing the complicated mix of love and hurt there. Wherever you want, sweetheart. Some memories we keep, even if they're not perfect. Margaret stood to leave, pausing at the door. Lucas asked about visiting, once he's served his time. That's years away, I reminded her. Yes. She squared her shoulders. Plenty of time to learn who we are without them. After she left, Dylan and I stood in the empty study. His hands slipped into mine. Are we going to be okay? He asked. Through the window, I watched Grace directing the donation truck, Margaret's car disappearing down the street. The future unfolding like a road we'd navigate together. We already are.